Hey, it's Bobby here from 3P, and we're going to go through a couple of super simple lessons over the next couple of days to basically bring you up to speed on everything you need to know about nutrition and the basics. And so in this video, we're going to go through two things. First is the nutrition pyramid, and second is our 3 nutrition rules. So let's take a look at the nutrition pyramid. As you can see, there are a number of layers to the pyramid, and it's important is based on the base of being the most important and getting less important as we move our way up. So there's 6 different tiers. We have adherence at the bottom, then we have calories, we have macronutrients, so carbs, fats and protein, then we have micronutrients, meal timings, and finally supplements. Supplements are often where people start to focus when they're looking at getting in shape, when actually they make very little difference if you don't have the tiers below it in place first. So, during the course and during your time at our gym, we're going to focus on primarily on these 3 bottom layers of the pyramid: adherence, calories, and macronutrients. Because if we can get these right, then we can make some really impressive progress. Alright, so let's talk through the nutrition rules. Now, we know it's easy to get lost and confused when it comes to nutrition. There's loads of confliction information out there, lots of people with different advice. So we like to keep it nice and simple. That's what nutrition here is all about. Simplicity. There's no fads, no crash diets, no dirty bulk, no weird supplements, and no restrictions. Just a few simple, very effective, flexible guidelines that are easy to put into action and even easier to adjust to suit your goals, your personal preferences, and your lifestyle. It's important to get these 3 nutrition rules right because essentially getting your nutrition right so you can improve your strength, your body composition, your health, and your performance can be broken down into these 3 really simple nutrition rules. So, rule number 1, 90% of the time, make your meals or have a variety of single ingredient foods. This is what it looks like, and it means having stuff like steak, sweet potatoes, peppers, they all have one ingredient. So have something like that for dinner instead of a ready meal packed with chemicals, preservatives, and who knows what else. Another way to phrase this could be to just eat real food. And the reason we want to do this is because good quality nutrition gives us energy, it satisfies our hunger better, it improves our health, and there are loads of other benefits too. So you want to aim to include lots of good quality single ingredient foods and not have your diet dominated by junk food and processed stuff. Rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time. So you should definitely make sure that good quality whole foods dominate your daily food intake. That's why 90% of the time we want to stick to eating single ingredient foods as part of our meals, but the other 10% of the time you can be flexible and pretty much eat whatever you want. So that's what this would look like. It's okay to have donuts, it's okay to have some junk food, and it's okay to just enjoy some of the not so great food that you love. Don't worry about having these things every now and then, and just make sure that A, they don't dominate your diet, and B, when you do have them, they fit into your calorie targets for the day. We're going to talk about calories and tracking your food in a little bit. But the reason we want them to fit into your calorie targets is so you don't massively overeat, because if you overeat, you consume too many calories, you're going to end up gaining unwanted body fat. And we know that to lose body fat, we need to be in a calorie deficit. This means consuming slightly less calories than our body is burning. Then, to build muscle, we need to be in a calorie surplus. So that's where we're going to be consuming slightly more calories than our body's burning, so we can give our body the building blocks it needs to grow muscle. But within these targets, we can be flexible. We don't have to be on a clean eating diet all the time. We can have that 10% of flexibility too. We're big advocates of this approach because it allows you to enjoy your life and not feel like you're on a strict diet all the time. It means you can go and have some ice cream when you go to the cinema with your partner, or you can eat some cake at your kid's birthday party. But all this is reliant on rule number 3. Now this is an important one. Rule number 3, track your food intake and hit your calories and macro targets every day. So macronutrients are protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Now this is important because if you don't track, you can't possibly know if you're eating too much, too little, or even being consistent at all. And if you don't know that, then you can't realistically expect to get good long-term results. Like I said, the main reason for tracking is to see if your nutrition targets that have been set by your coach are actually working. And by that I mean, is eating this much food helping you reach your goals of building muscle or losing body fat? To start with, these targets from your coach are going to be an educated estimate. They're a starting point. But then when you check in with your coach and get your measurements done, we can see that maybe you need to eat more, maybe you need to eat less, and we can make those adjustments. It's important to try and be as accurate and as consistent as possible, and you can do this all in an app called MyFitnessPal. Tracking your food allows us to monitor what you're eating and make adjustments in increasing or decreasing your calorie intake so your progress never plateaus for too long. So as well as sticking to rule number 1, 90% of the time make your meals or have a variety of single ingredient foods. And rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time. You're also going to try and stick to rule number 3, which is to track your food intake and hit your calorie target every day. An important note is that you're never going to be spot on to the exact gram or the exact calorie every day, but a good level of accuracy is within 100 to 150 calories. So if your daily calorie target, for example, is 2,500, then anywhere between 2,400 and 2,600 calories is really good. You're never going to be spot on the exact calories, but being in the right ballpark is going to do the trick. So they're the 3 nutrition rules. We literally can't make it any simpler than that. Now, it's not easy because there are lots of things that go into getting this right every day. There's a lot of habits, a lot of hard work, a lot of consistency, but this is as simple and as straightforward as nutrition can be broken down to. So just those 3 things. And the reason it's just these 3 things is because it's easy to understand, it's straightforward to put into action, and most importantly, they work and get the job done. They get results. And on top of that, and this is a really important part as well, you don't ever and won't ever feel like you're dieting because there's that flexibility too. There's room to make some changes without feeling like you've fallen off the wagon. There's room to enjoy some of the foods you love that wouldn't be typically classed as healthy. So it's just these 3 simple nutrition rules as a nice easy start. Rule number 1, 90% of the time make your meals or a variety of single ingredient foods. Rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time. Rule number 3, track your food intake and hit your calorie and macro targets every single day. Now, just a couple of things that I want to add. When you start tracking, you'll find it a little bit tricky. So the first thing I want you to focus on is just hitting your calorie targets. Don't worry about macros, so carbs, fats, and protein too much. Just hit your calorie targets. Then once you've got that nailed, aim for the calorie and protein and get those 2 things nailed down. Then once you've got calories and protein, then we can move on to hitting calories, protein, carbs, and fats as well. If you really do struggle with this and you're finding it tough, or maybe just completely new to tracking, a way to make it a bit easier is don't even worry about hitting specific calories or macro targets. Just get used to using the app, tracking your food and seeing how much you're eating each day, just to get a feel for it for a week at a time. And once you feel comfortable with it, then go into tracking your calorie targets and then your macro goals later on. So like I said, there are 3 nutrition rules. Rule number 1, 90% of the time, make your meals of a variety of single ingredient foods. Rule number 2, be flexible 10% of the time. And rule number 3, track your food intake and hit your calorie and macro targets every single day.